Today we're talking about relationships you love, creating relationships you love. And one of the things that I've heard from that people say all the time and that we all know to be true is that relationships are so hard, right? All these tools that I'm going to be giving you guys over the next 6 weeks are just that, right? They're tools to apply to your relationships to help everything be just a little bit easier, right? To help you learn how to manage expectations, create boundaries, have difficult conversations, all this kind of stuff. But it takes work, right? It's not just passive. And so one of the questions, that I wanted to pose to you guys today is sort of that whole thing about why bother. In this country, I think we have they say over a 50% divorce rate. It's insane. And for those of us that are in fire, police, and EMS fields, the divorce rate is even higher. We have so many relationships that are broken. And, for the people that do remain married, many of them are in unhappy marriages and they're unable to communicate with each other. They don't know how to draw good boundaries. There's a lot of codependency, narcissism, that whole anxious avoidant attachment style that I've talked about before, which doesn't mean that that relationship in and of itself can't work, but there's a lot of work to be done around that, right? And so people just give up. And one of the questions that I want to ask is why bother? Why do we bother even being in relationships if there's so much work? And what I was going to say is, I talk about that it's okay to leave relationships. Of course, you can leave relationships. And for me, I have a couple hard no's, right? Like there are some reasons that I leave a relationship like immediately. And, abuse, physical abuse would be one of those things. That's like a hard no. But there's so many things that are just uncomfortable or, painful or frustrating that to me, I don't mind conflict. I don't mind discomfort. In fact, I expect it, right? When I go into a relationship, I expect there to be difficulties and I expect us to butt heads and I expect there to have to be like conversation and things we're going to have to work out. And so that to me is not a problem. But if you can be happy either way, then, why stay? Why not just be alone, right? Why bother being in these relationships? And it's funny when I talk to people. In fact, I had somebody reach out to me about the video I did the other day, and she was talking about, how she had been thinking about leaving her partner. And when I asked her why, she said, I'm not happy, right? And this is one that we hear a lot. I'm just not happy, or I just don't love them anymore, or whatever. And I asked her, I said, if you could be happy either way, if you knew you could be happy either way, what would you do? And without hesitation, she said, I would stay. And so the reason that we so often leave is because we think that that person is the reason for our unhappiness or that we're unable to be happy in that relationship. There's so many challenges. So we're going to talk about that as we go through this event. But today, one of the things that I just want to tell you is that this is why it's so important to have a really strong why. You have to know, why are you in this relationship? And it's the same with relationships or career changes or starting a business or anything difficult. If you don't have a really strong reason why you're doing it, if you don't know why you're in the relationship, why you're starting a business, why you're doing this career change, why did I ever have kids again? Like, oh my God, right? When things get hard, your brain is going to want to give up. And in fact, that's one of the things, I think there's multiple reasons why we quit relationships so quickly or so, relatively easily. And I think one of those reasons is that, with the divorce rate being so high, this is not necessarily new. There are so many kids that live in single parent homes. I grew up in a single parent home, and even many people who didn't grow up in single parent homes grew up in really dysfunctional homes. And so I think so many of us didn't grow up with good models. We didn't grow up with parents who modeled to us what it looks like to be in a relationship, what it looks like to have conflict, to be frustrated and still love your partner, even though you're super angry. I didn't grow up necessarily with parents that showed me how to resolve conflict and how to get my own needs met and how to be a good partner. And so many of us just don't know what that looks like to be in a healthy relationship. Many of us don't know what it looks like to have a successful relationship. We didn't grow up with that. And so I think that's part of the reason why it's so easy to just follow the model that was created for us. I think, the other part of it is that we don't know our why. We don't have a really strong why. And if we ever did know it, we forget it, right? When things get hard, when we're frustrated, when we're triggered, when we're angry, we forget that really strong reason why we chose this person and why we're actually there. And so I think it's really important to remember that why. And then the third reason that I think it's so easy for us to quit relationships when it gets difficult or challenging or frustrating and we just get emotionally exhausted, and I can talk about that in another event, where emotional exhaustion comes from, because that's a big reason people just get tired. Um, but one of the other reasons is our brain, our limbic system, and our primitive brain is designed to help us avoid pain and seek pleasure, right? Our brains are designed to avoid pain and seek comfort. And so when when a fight or a recurring or something comes up in a relationship, a hardship, a challenge, something you don't like, your brain, we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are negative. And that's just our human brain. And it evolved that way, and it is designed that way to protect us, right? It's designed to look for danger, look for pain, look for anything uncomfortable and run away from it. And so it's not that you're broken. That's just the way our brains were designed. But if we just allow our brain to sort of run off of that default, and that goes to the decision-making process, if that's how we make our decisions, and we allow our brain to make decisions for us that way, then we're going to continue with these cycles of just running and leaving and avoiding hard things because it's not comfortable, it's not fun anymore. We'll tell ourselves things like, this just doesn't feel good for me, or whatever. And so we need to really be able to come up with other options to sort of override that primitive brain that's making decisions from that place of avoiding pain, seeking comfort. And one of the ways that we make decisions to override that is based on our values, right? The things that we have chosen and decided in advance that these are going to be the things that I make my decisions based off of, not whether or not it's comfortable. Brene Brown talks about choosing courage over comfort, right? And so again, those values, that comes back to knowing your why. And I want to share with you a little bit of, so I actually write this stuff down. I was in the relationship that I've been in for the last 2 years has certainly had its, challenges and hardships. And it's been really important for me to have a really strong why, so that when things get hard, I remember why it is that I'm in this relationship, why I chose this person, why does this matter to me, right? And what are all the good things. And so I can share with you some of my tips and tricks. One of the things that I used to do is I would screenshot the text messages that would get sent to me that were really sweet and encouraging and loving. And I would save those somewhere. People talk about having a spank bank. I would have like a love bank, if you will, right? Of a place where when we were fighting or I was angry or upset, I could go back and I could read through those text messages. And it was all just the loving, kind stuff where there was connection and intimacy and friendship. And it would remind me of my why. Why was I with her? It would remind me of those parts of our relationship, right? And the other thing that I do is I journal. I do a lot of journaling. And so if we're having a really good day, or we had a really great vacation, or there was something really just a special connection, times when I'm feeling loving and kind and caring towards that person, I'll journal about our relationship. This is something that she did for me today that was really sweet, that stood out, right? And so again, when I'm going through the hardships, when I'm so furious I can't see, when I feel disrespected, when I feel not heard, when I feel all those things, angry about, God, I can't believe this happened again, right? I can go to that love bank, and I can read through and remember my why. Why am I with this person? These are the reasons. And so I just want to share you one of the entries that I wrote to give you an example, because I truly do believe there are a lot of people out there who have lost their why. They don't know why. They're just, this relationship is so hard, and why am I in it? And I think a lot of people don't spend time even thinking about that in the first place. And so I'm going to read you this, and then I'm going to talk about some of the reasons that people are in relationships. And I'm going to ask you to think about what are your reasons for being in romantic relationships? What are your reasons? Why do you want to be with a partner? So this is one of my journals for entries from the year of COVID, when COVID started. And so I talked a little bit about everything that was going on with my business. And then I said, while I am proud of the business success that me and my team have experienced together, what I am the most proud of is my family and my own personal growth through this process. Being a part of this family has pushed me and broken me and built me back up again. I have had to come face to face with the ugliest parts of myself, and I have had to learn to breathe through some of the most painful and scariest emotions that I have ever had. I have had to learn how to be with these parts of myself and how to process them, thank them for their service. And then I have had to learn, or I've had to process them and thank them for their service and how they have tried so hard to protect me and to keep me safe. My brain, my good old brain, trying to protect me and keep me safe. I have learned how to release them forever and to replace them with new levels of vulnerability and humility and open-mindedness and courage and the willingness to keep showing up and trying again and again and practicing and growing. When I think about the person that I was before I met her and before I committed to this journey with her, I am breathless at the progress that I didn't even realize was waiting for me. I have now a depth of character and confidence and fulfillment and absolute joy that I didn't even know was possible for me. It came at a price for sure. There was so much that I had to give up, and it has been so fucking hard. Oh, but I have gained so much more than I ever gave up. And the journey and the strength that it took to get through those hard times has grown me into the most beautiful version of myself to date. And we are just getting started. I am so excited about our future together and how we will continue to challenge and push each other and to grow into powerful women of character and contribution. So that's a little bit about my why and my reasons for being in a relationship, even when it's hard. And so I just want you to think about what are some of your reasons, right? One of the reasons that people are in a relationship is because of money. Some people are in a relationship for security, right? For some people, it's social status. One of the women I was talking to, she actually, that same person that had reached out to me, the more she thought about her relationship with her ex and maybe wanting to get back together, which I resonated with this a lot. You know, she talked about embarrassment. Like, I would be embarrassed to go back. This is the second or third time this has happened. Like, I feel like it would be flaky, right? And so I could see her giving that power away to her family, her friends. What would they think? What will society think? I don't want to look flaky. For some people, it's like, well, what would my family think if I dated this person? Maybe they don't make very much money, or maybe they're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever. Who knows? For some people, that's religion, right? Religion can be a big one. Why you have to be with this person or you can't be with this other person. So there's all these social constructs. Sex is a big one. Companionship. Some people want to be in a relationship just to not be alone, right? And they want companionship. Love, growth, and the other is to be an example of what is possible for our kids. So these last three are mine. I'll go ahead and circle them. So my reasons why, and maybe you heard a little bit of that in my journal entry that I wrote, my reasons for why I want to be in a relationship, even though it's so hard and so painful, we have to give up so much, and it takes so much energy and bandwidth to just keep showing up sometimes. But these are my values that hold my feet to the fire when it gets hard. Love, growth, and then the last one is to be an example of what is possible for my kids, for my children to grow up. I could be a single parent, and raise kids in a single parent home, but I feel like they would be missing out on such a valuable thing, right? To be able to watch how relationships work, to watch how parents fight and get frustrated and make amends, and how do we talk about what our needs are, and how do we talk about, our expectations. These are my expectations of you. Are you willing to meet those expectations? If you're not, okay, well then how are we going to readjust our relationship to make sure that my needs are being met and your needs are being met, right? Talking about boundaries and unconditional love, how to love even when it's hard. All these kinds of things I think are such valuable lessons for our kids. And so that's a big value for me, for why I want to be in a partnership. And then love and growth are the personal values for myself. So those are my reasons. I want to just invite you to think about what yours are. What are your reasons for being in a relationship? Why do you want to be in a romantic relationship? And if you want to kind of hash that out or talk about it a little bit more, if you need some help, sometimes this can be challenging, especially if you've never thought about it before. Feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to talk with you about it. And once you've kind of done some of this work about why it matters, if you feel like this is something that's really important to you, that you do truly want in your life, that love and intimacy and partnership, then feel free to join us on the 14th for our workshop where we're going to be talking about creating relationships you love. And then you can join us as well if you would like for the 6-week series that's going to follow, where we're going to be talking about all the different tools and skills that I've been studying over the last 2 years to apply to our relationships in order to make them more sustainable. Okay. Well, it was nice to talk to you guys a little bit today. I love you all. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.